Now, this picture separates the world into two groups of people. The first group of people are the ones that are raging at this picture. And the second group of people are the ones that are going to rage at you if you don't have the correct opinions on the picture. So let's look a little bit at it. Don't get distracted by Jaina's masculine jawline and her looks that she survived 3 divorces, because this is what World of Warcraft is like. All the women are past the age of 45. I want you to instead focus on the ghastly apparition of the wheelchair. How do you feel about it? It's very important. Like, this is the Rorschach test. Do you worship it and the people that created it? Or do you get upset? Why is this important for another person? Well, it's important so that they know what you treasure. Do you treasure social justice? Do you validate their opinions? Because if you do, then nothing else matters. When you see this, you gotta say that this is exceptional. Finally, a multi-million-dollar video game company gives a shit. Little Timmy in a wheelchair has his life improved massively because this has been added in World of Warcraft, right? So a person who values social justice and cares about social justice people's opinions will never say anything different. Meanwhile, a person that actually does talk with individuals in wheelchairs or cares about immersion, they will comment on it. Like, the interesting thing is that I actually do talk with people that have, when I was in hospital, I spoke with people that were in car crashes, and I understand that this is something that can happen even to me or my loved ones. Like, at any point in our lives, we can get in a car crash or some accident, and then you can't walk. And so you're going to end up in a wheelchair. Do I want this in a power fantasy, though? South Park made an interesting episode about World of Warcraft where Randy Marsh says, like, in the real world, I'm just a nobody geologist. But there I am the powerful hero, right? So, like, is a power fantasy having a person in a wheelchair? No. But, like, let's assume, there may be some people that are born without being able to walk, so they always were in a wheelchair or whatever. And maybe, like, this is what they want in their fantasy because they can't imagine how it's like to walk. Well, if that's the case, if this is a fantasy game, why aren't you giving a flying carpet? Why aren't you giving it like a slave? Like an ogre slave that carries him on his shoulder? Why aren't you having like 4 dudes carrying him in a throne? Why isn't it like a magical throne? Why is it the wheelchair? And the answer is, of course, the lack of creativity and the fact that this is supposed to be a Rorschach test. And this is what pisses people off the most, is the destruction of immersion. The fact that no video game right now is allowed to have soul and be different. Everything has to be the same. Like, let me show you an example. This is a game with soul. It's called Warcraft, right? Like it shows war. It's horrible. But it's also very masculine. It's like the humans grouping together to fight against the barbarian horde that's coming from a evil portal. And like, what are the sacrifices people make in order to defend their women and children? To defend their kingdoms? The valor, right? That's pretty much what Warcraft used to be. It was grim, it was dark. It was an interesting story, it had soul. It was different than Lord of the Rings. It was different than Dungeons and Dragons. It was Warcraft. And this shit is kind of what we're getting now. Not just with Warcraft, but with Hearthstone, with Dungeons and Dragons. Like, with almost everything that's coming up, it's sanitized, it's corporate, it's fucking slop. It looks like stock photo. And the worst part, it's not even trying to simulate a medieval fantasy. It's not even trying to simulate immersion. It's trying to simulate real life. It's trying to show, this is what a tourist looks like. So yeah, the camera is a little bit different, makes it look like a gadget, and it's like an inside joke, it's tongue-in-cheek. The orc looks a little bit like a homosexual, and he's got like an alliance plushie. Again, nothing makes sense. Why would the orc have all of these alliance paraphernilias, even if they're not tourists. Like, why would the Alliance allow an orc to be a tourist in Stormwind, right? Because it doesn't have to make sense anymore. Everything is corporate slop. And when you look at Dungeons and Dragons, it's the same thing, but it's even worse. Like, for those of you who don't know, there's also a guide in Dungeons and Dragons allowing you to have a wheelchair. And there's, you know, a lot of talk about how you can use the wheelchair to get upstairs and shit. But one of the things that really shocked me is the fact that there is a class in Dungeons and Dragons called Druids. And the Druids can polymorph into various animals, including birds. So, like, for example, you can turn into a hawk. So the question is, like, okay, your character is in a wheelchair, and then it turns into a hawk. Like, what happens with the wheelchair? Well, apparently, it shapeshifts with the druid. So now the hawk, I'm not kidding, it will have, like, little wheels to support its legs. Like, instead of legs, it has these little wheels, because apparently, this is not like a spinal fracture. This is not like, a wound that's corporal. Like in the social justice mentality, the crippling is of the soul. Like the entire spirit, the body. Basically what they're saying is that the wheelchair is actually part of your identity. Which in my opinion is the most harmful thing you can tell to a person that's suffering from a debilitating condition. Like when you're in the hospital and you have someone that comes out of a motorcycle accident, and you tell them it's like, look, it's pretty serious, like you got spinal injury. Fortunately, there is a procedure. It's very difficult. You're going to have to put a lot of work, a lot of effort, but hopefully you can walk again. A social justice activist would come in there and they would say, look, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just fine. Just the way you are. Just keep doing that. You know, play some World of Warcraft. They have a wheelchair there so that you can feel represented. And this is like the real shocker. This is why most people get upset, is the castrous ideology that on the surface seems like empathetic, but in reality it tries to cut any type of struggle, any type of difficulty, any type of effort, any type of the idea that a person can actually adjust and try to get past the limitation. They are trying to get people to embrace their limitation, to be happy with the limitation, to be cheerful of the limitation, and to sanitize everything. And I think this is why that picture is triggering so many people. And I think like this is why everything in the West right now is just bland and why no one likes it. I wonder, you know, if it's ever going to be different. If it's ever going to change, like if people are going to start making entertainment the way they used to. The problem is like right now, it's almost impossible. Because there's terms of service on platforms, like Sony has terms of service, Steam has terms of service, there's actual legislation in the world. And no one is investing tens of millions of dollars in order to risk it. But at least I would hope that people stop doing this shit. Like, this is the most cancerous shit that I see, you know, these stock photos. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you on my live stream. There is a link to it in my pinned comment. Take care.